Amphibians across the world are getting wiped out ever since the mid-20th century. For years, scientists have been working hard against time to solve these issues. Due to the rapid decline in amphibian populations, we should prioritize the conservation of these species using a multifaceted approach. In this presentation, I will first discuss the statistics of the amphibian population declines, the causes behind them, and conservation efforts that we need to take in order to save these populations before even more of them disappear. Ever since the 1980s, scientists have known about mass declines in all vertebrate species, known as the sixth mass extinction. According to Moore and Church in 2008, this decline has happened in species from birds to mammals. However, amphibians have been declining at rates far higher than any other groups, with an extinction rate of at least 200 times greater than all species of animals. This is a huge deal. From a report by the IUCN's Global Amphibian Assessment, as many as a third of amphibian species have undergone severe declines or have become extinct since the 1980s. With all of these drastic statistics, drastic actions are needed to save amphibian species before even more damage is done to their populations worldwide. Now, how did we get to this place? Well, it didn't just come from one cause. It came from a whole swath of reasons acting together to cause severe declines in amphibians. According to Bishop and their colleagues in 2012, these causes fall into two categories: Group 1 threats, which have been acting on amphibians for more than 100 years, and Group 2 threats, which are new threats within these past 30 years. The first of these, Type 1 threats, causing this decline, comes from habitat destruction, with an estimate of 63 amphibian species affected. Next, we have overexploitation, which includes amphibians harvested for food and for trade. According to a UNEP WAMCA report, they found that 134 species that are traded internationally, 54 of these are considered a threatened group of amphibians. Furthermore, we have also introduced other species like birds into native amphibian lands that have brought new pathogens and have become predators to these populations. So now let's move on to Group 2 threats. These include climate change, where different amphibians shift their breeding patterns and damages their eggs and their larvae. Next, pesticides have caused physical modifications to amphibians and have killed many different species. Finally, the most important cause is through emerging infections like the fungus BD. This is a pandemic affecting a huge number of species with no cure that was described in an article by Olson and his colleagues in 2013. All of these have created a perfect storm, wiping out populations across the globe. Now, with all of these threats acting on amphibians, research into amphibians is crucial for preventing more population declines. We should be funding long-term studies to be implemented on an international scale that can monitor populations to determine if they are declining or simply just fluctuating their number of individuals. This would lead to a better understanding of these declines to put specific action plans in place across the globe. Although research is critical, we should use the Amphibian Conservation Action Plan to handle various different Group 1 and Group 2 threats using a multifaceted approach. This plan highlights 11 thematic areas that need to be focused on for conservation and research. Some of these include reintroductions, freshwater resources, and environmental containment. This plan uses an interdisciplinary approach that can be tailored depending on the different area. For instance, we would not use the same approach in Australia that we would use for Costa Rica. This way, we can delegate funds accordingly and save amphibians in the most efficient way possible. The final aspect of conservation strategy that we need to use is to work with other conservational groups to coordinate large-scale funding and land protection. This is because amphibian groups have been continuously underfunded. Conserving habitats is extremely important because habitat destruction has a detrimental effect on 2/3 of amphibian species across the globe. So by partnering with other organizations, this is completely necessary in protecting areas on a truly global scale. Amphibian conservationists should be actively engaging with many of these other communities with concerns about biodiversity, freshwater resources, and other areas in order to bring attention it needs to this important issue. So overall, using this multifaceted approach, we should prioritize the conservation of amphibian species worldwide. In this presentation, we first covered the statistics of the decline, the reasons behind them, as well as 3 conservation strategies to attack this issue head-on. As a whole, we have to unite as a scientific community to bring attention to this massive problem before amphibians are gone for good. Thank you.